Ladies and gentlemen, this is the very first episode of the Kayfabe Kommandos. Woo! I'm Bern. Next to me is Lloyd. Say hi, Lloyd.
Hi, Lloyd.
If you don't recognize that little ditty, that was one of the original Raw's War theme songs. One of my favorites of all time. I guess we should just do a little bit of intros. I'm Bern. I'm a 31-year-old grown-ass man who's watched wrestling since I was a little kid. Used to remember watching Saturday Night Main Event. Sundays, Sunday mornings was Superstars. And then over the years, WCW, NWA, into that. Monday Night Raw, back when they were doing hotel shows.
The old ballroom.
The old ballroom. Watching Undertaker come out that first night. Boom. Then into the SmackDown years, Monday Night Heat.
Sunday Night Heat,
sorry. Good old Val Venus.
Fantastic Val Venus. Sean Morley.
Lloyd over here is the human wrestling encyclopedia.
I try very hard. I've been watching wrestling since I was 5 years old. I'm 37 now. Grew up in South Florida, so basically grew up a lot on the Southern Wrestling, old Florida Championship. Very much an NWA, WCW guy, NWO for life. Always, watched everything, Attitude Era, up until now. Again, just someone I've been a fan. I do my best to know the history of wrestling, the business as a whole, the best I can. So that's my intro. Let's see where we go from here.
Well, I guess what we should do is just take a look at your synopsis that you wrote. We're pretty much every week that we do one of these, and hopefully we'll get up to the point where we can do them weekly. We're going to take a look at Friday Night SmackDown. Just do a quick run through, because normally we'll be taping these on Tuesdays, so we'll have watched SmackDown, we'll have watched Raw, and we just run through each of those shows, highlights, lowlights, hashtag douchebag, whatever you want. So if you haven't watched either SmackDown or Raw, I would suggest that you pause this, go back, watch both of those back to back, come back to this, because we're going to have a very spoilerific set of shows. After we're done talking about those weekly episodes, if there's a pay-per-view match coming up, much like there is this weekend, we're going to give our predictions. So, top of the list, what have we got going? What are some bullet points?
Well, I guess let's go ahead, we'll do Raw first. Show started off with Triple H and Johnny Ace coming out, doing their little thing, and more or less Triple H just saying, I'll say what I have to say in the ring, Going into that, Triple H comes out and talks about, Brock Lesnar and how he thought that it was very offensive to him and the other boys in the back, such as The Undertaker, that, bringing legitimacy back to this company where a match at WrestleMania where you had Triple H and The Undertaker wrestle their asses off, beat the hell out of each other. I mean, I think that was a very legitimate match, and, I can definitely see where he's coming from on that. So, from there, Paul E comes out, the new mouthpiece for Brock Lesnar.
And that was a trip. That was a total trip, because I remember watching all those original ECWs, Terry Funk kicking that stuff off, those pay-per-views becoming huge himself, and Paul H making a name for himself as a big-time promoter. And where's he been the last 10 years?
He has a company he runs called the Heyman Hustle. It's a website. I don't want to plug them, but I guess you did ask. Pretty much nothing. He does goes around and meets celebrities, and he's Paulie. He writes about it on his website, and you can get a subscription to it and get all sorts of stupid information. But no, like I said, actually last week when Paulie came out, I loved it. I'm a huge mark for him. I loved his feud with Jim Cornette back in the 80s. When he would just carry around that big old style cell phone and just smack the hell out of people with it.
Well, speaking of marks, we should get into it at least while we're on this little tangent.
Okay.
Who do you mark out for the most these days?
Right now, definitely Paul Heyman. Just in this past week, but as always, Jericho is my favorite wrestler of all time. So no matter what he does to me, it's gold. But as far as any new wrestlers, they're I would probably have to say I finally came around recently and have actually started marking out for John Cena, and I'm kind of ashamed of that. But I'm either a 12-year-old boy or a 30-year-old woman, so somehow I'm not in that demographic to like the Fruity Pebbles, man.
No, and I, as I'm sitting here in front of my Undertaker SummerSlam Slurpee cup, definitely an Undertaker mark. Huge Undertaker mark. I mean, man can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. Always mark out to Kane. I love Kane. This was probably the highlight seeing Raw here in Portland a few months ago. Anytime that Kane would come out, just boom, lights, organs, fire. Always awesome. And, God, who else am I marking out for lately? Oh, as far as new guys go, I'm kind of a sucker for Alberto Del Rio. I love his shtick.
I do know that, but you know who you're glossing over?
Who am I glossing over?
For you personally, sir. You're forgetting about the Funkasaurus.
The Funkasaurus. That was the biggest surprise over the last several months, and I was balls deep in that the very first night, as Lloyd can tell you. The very next day that shit happened, I was like, did you see that? Did you see that? Did you even think that was coming? The Funkasaurus. The funk is on a roll.
Somebody call his mama.
Somebody call his mama. All right. Now that we've marked out a little bit, and I'm sure we'll mark out plenty as the show goes on, episode to episode, even within this episode, I might mark out again, just because. Hashtag mark. What else do we have going on?
After that, like I said, there was a tag match with Punk and Santino taking on Cody Rhodes and Daniel Bryan.
You know, such as the week before pay-per-views.
Yes.
Matches usually go by pretty quick and pretty predictable.
Well, this, one of those things, this could have gone kind of either way, because yes, everybody does love Daniel Bryan these days, and Cody Rhodes has kind of just been stagnant for at least the past 2 months, even with the feud with Big Show. It dragged on, and then it took him nowhere. He lost the belt just to get it back, and
there's really no good attention being paid to any of the belts besides the top two these days, and
right, absolutely.
Maybe some of these guys like the Rybacks and the Mason Ryans, the Ezekiel Jacksons, the huge monsters might actually get up to speed and on their mic skills and their in-ring skills and actually have some good matches to take some of these, lesser, quote-unquote, lesser belts. Santino's got the U.S. champion.
Right, and Santino is so over that he can do no wrong. He doesn't need that belt to be, and he does have the weakest finishing move in wrestling. But I just want to throw that out there. And, Punk is Punk. He's top tier right now. Like I said, he's, definitely the second biggest superstar of that company as far, the only one I can think that, is more would be John Cena, of course, as far as merch and just being the face of the company. But I definitely think that Punk, at this point, definitely rivals him in merch and is definitely the second biggest face of that company.
But have you been paying any mind to how they're treating Raw as far as Punk's reign over that title as like a non-ratings giver every week? Like they're just, behind the scenes just not happy with, week in, week out. The ratings are not consistent. But they still let him have the belt. What do you think they're going to be able to do in the next few weeks, even after this current pay-per-view, to make, Punk's over. He's over with the fans. He's got the belt. He's an excellent champion, but he's not a face of the WWE as much as a dude like Cena or Orton or any of those guys.
True. I guess pretty much it all depends on, which we'll talk about with our predictions for the pay-per-view, how I think that's going to go.
Right.
As to where the direction with Punk is going to go in the near future, but
they kind of wrote him into a corner with Jericho, and now Jericho's on a fatal four-way with for the heavyweight belt.
Right, and as you know, realistically, Jericho's not going to get that belt because if anyone who knows, his band Fozzy is doing a summer tour over in Europe, so you can't really be on tour and wrestle. So there's no point in him putting on that belt. That definitely takes him out of the equation for the pay-per-view, and maybe they'll trick us, but don't see that happening.
All right, so that was a decent match on Raw. Things fell exactly where you were expecting them to. No big surprises there. Next up,
there was a Divas match. Let's see, I believe it was Alicia Fox versus Beth Phoenix. Solid match for the most part. Good Divas stuff, but
I'm so sick of Alicia Fox, though.
Yeah.
She can't wrestle.
Actually, the thing is, man, she can wrestle, but they just always put her in there, have her do 3 things, and it either win with those 3 things, or she gets squashed in 2 seconds by the larger opponent.
And who came out at the very end?
Layla came out, after the match was over, got in the ring.
Laid out Beth Phoenix.
Yep, Beth Phoenix hightailed it up the ramp and out of there.
What do you think about Layla coming back?
I think that it's good, because they definitely have a lack of good female wrestlers in the company that can come out and at least do a 10-minute match.
Well, she can perform, that's for sure. Her mic skills, we haven't really heard much on the mic after her and McCool split. Like, she was excellent.
No, absolutely, yeah. She totally, she over the years became very solid on the mic. Her wrestling skills improved. And when with Lay Cool, with her and Michelle, there was a solid unity there. That for months they reigned and their stuff was good, and then it just kind of fell apart. But
do you think she'll be able to keep the belt?
I think so. At least for maybe another month, because no matter what, the whole build-up is going to be Beth Phoenix versus Karma when she comes back, who I am a super, super mark for. I love Awesome Kong.
Well, just quick, easy Divas match. What was up next?
After that was the Kane Big Show match, that Johnny Ace threw together. Standard Big Show Kane match. You've seen it 1,000 times.
But it's always glorious. And those 2 guys, toe-to-toe, if there's anybody who can actually deliver a beating to a dude as big as Big Show and look like it's an actual match and not just like a squash.
No, absolutely.
It's fucking Kane.
Kane been doing it for years. So I think right now the only people around during the Attitude Era still are like Kane and Mark Henry. Now since Edge is gone, I think that's it. Christian's
in and out.
Right.
I mean, Triple H, if you want to consider that part of it, but
true, that
he's
too.
Not even really doing much in ring anymore.
No, though he will. I'm figuring that him and Brock will be a SummerSlam match.
So the match itself was kind of ancillary.
Yeah, pretty much. But right after that was the big hype up of, I made fun of John Laurinaitis' voice, and you have to apologize to me, so...
Oh, my mic skills suck. I've been in the business for 30 years, and I still don't know how to talk and deliver a promo without stuttering or messing up my words.
Yeah, but, Show basically went out there, was teary-eyed, and actually,
he was forced to apologize.
Exquisite acting on behalf of the Big Show.
Heavy contention.
But like I said, that segment just was way too long. It was way drawn out.
Long story short, Big Show, future endeavored.
Yes, that was it. Big Show, we wish you the best in your future endeavors.
Now, whether they break kayfabe and actually keep it that way, or just have some stupid shtick going on that now that Big Show's fired, maybe a heel turn for Big Show coming in and helping Johnny Ace with his upcoming Cena match, we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yes.
Who knows? So after that,
we had the Funkasaurus in a 6-way.
Hell yeah!
He was tagging up with Kofi and R-Truth. I'm sure little Jimmy was somewhere there too.
I think that was probably my favorite match of the night there on Raw.
It's a good match, and especially when your opposing team is Dolph Z, Swagger, and The Miz. Great, and like I said to you before, Dolph Ziggler, before the end of this year, Dolph Ziggler will be one of the world champions.
I certainly hope so. He's certainly got it. He's definitely paid his dues over the last few years. And
absolutely.
As far as those guys that came up like in 2009, 2010, who were just jobbers at that point.
The Mean Street Posse.
Right. Like him and Swagger have definitely done enough in-ring and on the mic to make themselves over as superstars, even if they've been playing heel for 2 years.
Absolutely. The thing I think that throwing Vicky Guerrero into the mix with them is even more so, because it's weird that Vicky Guerrero, who is not a wrestler, has more heat than probably even the most hated of heels in that organization right now. She's more over as a heel just for coming out and, excuse me!
And not only that, but I'm glad that the writers finally just got rid of the girlfriend angle. She can't be Edge's girlfriend, and then
right.
Dolph Ziggler's girlfriend. Now she's just the woman in charge, the business associate, the manager. I like where they're going nowadays with ladies like Guerrero and with, what's that dude's name who's got Epico and Primo?
Rosa Mendez.
Right. And then that guy that's hired all of them and has got Mason Ryan and his little team, it looks like they're doing stables again.
Washington.
Right.
Abraham Washington.
Yep.
Sorry.
And this is something I've told Lloyd forever, is that I miss wrestling stables. I
Yes.
miss the manager with 5-6 different dudes who we can throw a tag team at you. We can have one-on-one matches, and there's always this big giant, there's a stable.
No, absolutely.
They haven't done that in years, but it looks like they're kind of angling towards that right now. I mean, we've got People Power, John Laurinaitis and crew.
Right.
We've got What's His Nuts and his production company hiring all these guys. We've got Vicky Guerrero. It's a good start.
Absolutely. And again, that's pretty much the only... I guess it would be all three of the stables going right now.
Last big one was, all those young kids coming up from NXT doing the Nexus.
And hey, well, there's nothing. Wade Barrett, where is he right now? I mean, he's still on the shelf.
Shooting
He's got to
movies.
become... Really?
Yep, he was shooting a movie. I saw a screen
did
cap.
not know
He's
that.
playing some British bad guy, which is exactly perfect. So it's one of those WWE flicks, but apparently it's got some stars, and I think Colin Farrell's in it, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have my IMDb up, but there's a couple of big name actors. This might actually be a decent WWE Productions movie this time, but it'll probably just go straight to DVD like every other one.
Anyway, that match was actually really good match. Bro to the Funkasaurus team, they all won. It was a nice little Trouble in Paradise into the big splash from the Funkasaurus. They get the win. You get to see some dancing.
Funkadactyls.
Somebody called
Cameron
it.
and Naomi.
I love you, Michael Cole. From there, man, they actually went into a backstage vignette. Punk's back there talking, and AJ comes up. And, you could obviously see where that was going.
Yep, basically calls her out for being crazy.
Yes, And well played, sir.
She's cute. She can wrestle. I hope that they do something with this angle. I would love to see AJ turn heel and just wreck house.
Yeah, like I said, she has come out, this little girl who has just been coming out and beating the hell out of the girls the past couple weeks, taking that fury and just pummeling it into submission. She's been beating girls down. There's nothing else that can really be said about that. But that was pretty much that whole thing. We'll see where her and Daniel Bryan wind up going. I think that's kind of a dead end. I think they actually should just drop that and let her have her own thing.
Oh, absolutely.
But from there was Sheamus comes out to watch the match that would be next, which was Jericho versus Orton. And
solid match. It was a solid Jericho Orton match. Something like we've seen for years and years and years.
Both of those guys, like I said, Jericho is my favorite performer ever. Great match. Those guys know what they're doing. They have the skills and the tools. So, it's going to be a back and forth, blah, blah, blah type of match. However, as you would have figured, Sheamus comes in and interrupts after Jericho had thrown Randy Orton into Sheamus outside of the ring. So that ends in a disqualification. Sheamus and Orton want to go at it. They get back in the ring. Security comes out, take them apart. Typical ending to that scenario.
Lots of bro kicks.
Yes, there was a bro kick. Thinking about Alberto Del Rio, he did come out. No, that was on SmackDown. That was on SmackDown. We'll get to that too.
Get to that a little bit, and then final thing of the night was
Johnny Ace coming out and being confronted by John Cena.
First off, Johnny Ace, smug, asshole, douchebag. Those are my 3 favorite ways to describe Johnny Ace. Comes out, basically calls the entire universe losers. Says that anybody who's a fan of John Cena is a loser, and then declares that he is better than Brock Lesnar and The Rock put together.
That he did.
Do we believe any of that?
No.
And we're not supposed to believe it. He's just building himself up as a heel, but then gets delightfully interrupted by boom, John Cena.
Yep. Trending worldwide. # Cena's lady parts.
Right.
But yeah, John Cena came out and actually cut a very, very humorous promo.
It was classic Cena, and it, again, these right, these Monday Night Raws and SmackDowns the week before pay-per-view always are promo-rific. So we actually get longer promos than we do matches, and this one was literally 15 minutes of Cena taking apart John Laurinaitis.
And making references to Gleaming the Cube.
I know, right?
That was probably my favorite thing that happened tonight.
That was pretty good. Go puck yourself.
Yes.
Go puck yourself, John Laurinaitis. So the end of that was basically board of directors basically gave the terms of that match, saying that there couldn't be any superstars at ringside. B, if those superstars came out, they would be terminated immediately. C, pinfall submission only. 1-on-1 match. D, and this is the bombshell. If John Laurinaitis loses, he is fired from his position at the WWE. What do you think?
I think that somehow, and we're going to get into this, but I'm not going to say now, I think that somehow, because of the stipulations that were made tonight, Johnny Ace is going to win his match against John Cena.
We'll get to those predictions in a little bit, but let's move right on through.
Talk a little bit about SmackDown.
SmackDown. Do I have any SmackDown music in here anywhere? Let's see. This is one fun thing about doing a show the first night. That's an old SmackDown one. Fuck it. We'll just go right on into it. Maybe if I find some music, I'll squish it in between.
Got it. Wow. Actually, I do not remember how SmackDown started off.
SmackDown was kind of a letdown. And
yeah.
And Lloyd will tell you, I've been a champion of SmackDown forever. I consistently, week in, week out for the last 10, 12 years. It's been on since, what, 2000? 2001?
Yes.
They have put together a product that, in my opinion, is a better wrestling show than Raw. Raw is always good because you got the big name superstars, and they always have the aftermath of the pay-per-views, and everything that's super important happens on Raw. But if you, in my opinion, want to see some decent wrestling and some solid matches against dudes who have been in the ring for years, SmackDown's my show of choice. And I hate it when SmackDown is bad, because it's not bad very often.
Well, those are the things. The matches, they had all the SmackDown top stars on there this week. So, in theory, it should have been a fantastic show. It just fell flat. There wasn't the usual energy to a SmackDown that goes with. But bringing that back up, yeah, SmackDown did start off this week in another tag match with Sheamus and Randy Orton against Jericho and Alberto Del Rio, which
basically ended up in Bedlam. And what ended up happening is John Laurinaitis ended up making two different matches. There was a Sheamus and was it Sheamus and Jericho? No, it was they split the tag up. So it was Sheamus and Orton versus Jericho and Del Rio, but in their own separate matches later on in the night.
Okay.
Because that first match,
that's correct.
They all just started fighting each other, and they're like, oh.
Right.
So they split those up, and those happened later.
Correct.
Second match.
Caitlyn versus AJ.
Which was basically as a result from AJ's bitch slap to Caitlyn the week before.
Yes.
When Caitlyn was trying to call her out on her bullshit.
Right. So, the ever so popular angle of former best friends now in a feud. And again, brings us back to something we were talking about earlier about AJ lately just, being on fire, just pummeling girls in the corner, taking that aggression that she's got pent up from being so rejected by Daniel Bryan, and like I said, I personally did not see anything in her that whole time. At least now, I see that she has something, and let's see what she can do with what they're giving her right now, and she could be a future Diva champion.
I can see it. I just don't think it's going to happen if we get a Beth Phoenix and Karma back in the mix. But maybe they'll bring back women's championship belt, have women's tag again, something. They've got enough divas now, especially with the NXT stars that have been appearing on Superstars a little bit more, and
right.
then the chicks on Superstars who have been coming over on SmackDown. It's the women's division in the WWE has been lacking for years, and they're trying to do something. But all they've had is Beth Phoenix and Kelly lately.
Right. Well, like I said, Michelle McCool still out. Layla just coming back. Karma still gone. Hopefully she'll be back the next few weeks, because that is what that company needs.
I just want to hear Layla on the mic. I know. I want to hear Layla on the mic. I want to hear her cut some promos. I want to see if they're going to change her persona from, ugly heel, you're not the one for me.
Oh, no, well, the angle now, she's
cool stuff.
No, she's totally like, haha, I'm happy to be back in the WWE, and, I'm ready to, she seems like she's working a total face angle right now. And, again, when Michelle McCool comes back, they could have a feud together, which, would make perfect sense. And, what are you going to do with that? Up next was Big Show versus Daniel Bryan.
Previous to Big Show getting fired.
Yes.
This was on Friday.
Yes. Not much to say.
No, it was just basically the same match that they had for months, over and over and over again.
Yep. Followed up that with Skip Sheffield, Ryback, versus his old Nexus partner, Heath Slater.
This one-man Southern rock band, which is the lamest gimmick besides, Trent Beretta at this point.
Oh, Trent Beretta. Where is he?
Getting squashed on Superstars.
Is he? I thought they actually recently released him.
Nope. Well, the last time I saw him was on Superstars, and I unfortunately do watch Superstars because it's an easy way to kill an hour when I can't sleep.
Understood. Anyway, it was the usual squash match that they've been giving Ryback, since his return.
Had a little bit more of a fight this time with Heath Slater, but not much.
Right, absolutely. I mean, he's coming
3-4 minute round or match.
Yeah, it was 4 minutes total, if that. And just he's a powerhouse. He's coming out, and I almost think that they're giving him this Goldberg type thing where it's like, okay, here's this dude, he's going to come out, we're going to just let him win. But they're also doing that with Brodus Clay. And I mean,
Lord Tensai.
See, Albert, here's the problem. I don't buy the Lord Tensai thing. I can't do it. Like, it turns me off. I don't want to see that at all.
No, it's a good. Well, how do I describe it? Back in the day, in the 80s and the early 90s, the big guys were often cartoon characters. They were over the top, just humongous, like you can't beat me cartoon characters, and unfortunately it doesn't work these days. You gotta if you're gonna bring somebody that big and that powerful up, don't give them little local jobbers to squash. Put them up against dudes like Kane or dudes like Del Rio, like actual.
Well, I think the problem with that is that he got hurt, okay, a while back. He was out. Then they had him down in FCW, their farm ground in Florida, which is just recently moved, I believe, to Tampa now. And I don't think that I don't think his mic skills are up to par yet, which is why they're not letting him talk. And his wrestling is still he's not showing me anything other than, hey, I'm going to come in and just overwhelm people, and that's my match. I don't
get green shit all over my hand and then smash it into your face, and then you're out. I don't know. There's a place for big dudes and there's a place for scary monsters, but give them good opponents to go up against, and maybe they'll go over. Right now, that's not what they're doing.
True. Next was Alex Riley versus Antonio Ciaro. Is that how I say that?
Something like that. And like I said, I've been watching Superstars, and that's pretty much Alex Riley's been on Superstars and NXT pretty much as a regular for the last 6 months, which sucks because this guy is a goddamn good wrestler. He's got mic skills. They just don't know how to write him. I mean, now that he's done,
what are you going to do with him on a Raw or SmackDown? Because you got your bigger guys. The best I could see them is maybe putting him in a match with R-Truth or Kofi. That's the upper mid-level guys. You're never going to see A-Rai versus John Cena. No, but A-Rai versus Taker as a hot.
We won't, but we could see A-Rai versus Skip Sheffield, aka Ryback. We could see A-Rai versus Lord Tensai. Even if it is a squash, I'd believe that more over than Lord Tensai coming out and squashing Yoshitatsu or some local jackoff from the
Right. After that was, like you said, they had split up the matches. Randy Orton versus Alberto Del Rio.
Great match. It's hard for me not to mark out for Del Rio, especially when he's, up against the Viper, Randy Orton. Always a good match. We always get the Orton DDT. We get that fucking awesome power slam. We also get Del Rio working the arm, and then, hopefully trying to get it over.
Right, surprisingly, no interference from Ricardo Rodriguez.
This time.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens, at the pay-per-view in the 4-way.
But, like everything that happened that night on SmackDown, it got interrupted.
Yeah, everything.
The match was called.
See, from there was R-Truth versus Jack Swagger.
Which was decent. It wasn't a great match, but,
Yeah, little Jimmy, he always helps when he can. And let's see, I don't remember. R-Truth did win that match, I believe.
I believe so. He got.
Yep. From there, once again, the Funkasaurus, Brodus Clay, versus Hunico, who, again, I think they just owe that guy something for coming in and doing the Sin Cara gimmick when they needed someone to step up and do that, because I don't see anything in him at all.
And it sucked that the real Sin Cara got hurt, because I loved Sin Cara versus Sin Cara. That whole shtick for that 3-month period was glorious. We had, Sin Cara Azul versus Sin Cara Negro. And,
right.
You never know who was actually in what mask, and I love that. That, for me, was awesome.
Yeah, and believe me, I'm sure that they are just as disappointed, if not more than you. They had that big thing planned for WrestleMania where they were going to try and have... Basically, I think they're going to set up to be a Sin Cara Rey Mysterio feud, and have the largest indoor crowd number of people wearing luchador masks to set the record for that. But, thanks to Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio being hurt, they couldn't do anything with that.
Well, not only Rey Mysterio being hurt, but we find out recently that he's under suspension for wellness violation. Now, do you think that's steroids or drugs?
I think that it's probably prescription drugs for his knees. It's well documented that Rey Mysterio has bad knees. And...
But do they give wellness violations for dudes that are on Vicodin or Percocet? Or do they give wellness violations for dudes who are taking a steroid that
it's
helps
my
them heal
understanding,
faster?
As long as you have a doctor's prescription, it doesn't matter what you're taking. Okay? And, again, somebody like Rey Mysterio, who... This tends to happen every time that his contract negotiations are up.
But this is the second time. This is second strike. The first one was for weed.
Are you sure that was Mysterio?
I'm pretty sure that Mysterio got busted for weed first, and that's why he's on his second strike now for a wellness violation.
I thought he'd actually gotten popped for prescription drugs before, was what it was.
Something like that. Either way.
Because he actually, what it was is he provided a prescription, but it was like dated after the thing. It was some sort of weird thing like that.
Well, either way, it's his second wellness violation, and we're probably not going to see him well past SummerSlam. He's on 60-day suspension.
Right.
And after that, his knee's still not going to be healed until probably September, August at the earliest, but we won't see him for SummerSlam.
Absolutely not. And, the WWE wellness policy is something we'll definitely have to talk about another time. Just more to give opinions and kind of just discuss that. But, again, not right now. And like I said, Brodus Clay, Hunico, you already know the way that went down. Funkasaurus is on a roll.
Somebody call your mama.
From that, like I said, would have been the CM Punk the Sheamus Jericho match, which again, much like the earlier Randy Orton Alberto Del Rio, everybody got involved with Alberto Del Rio getting the bad end of the stick on this one. Basically,
certainly did.
Basically taking a code breaker, an RKO, and a bro kick,
one after the other, and then a stare down between Orton and Sheamus. Which is glorious, because you don't really get a sense of how goddamn humongous Sheamus is until he's standing 3-4 inches tall over Randy Orton,
right? Who's
easily 80 pounds lighter than Sheamus is, even at his most cut. That guy's humongous.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's Tripp's working out partner, which I think also is a big reason why Sheamus initially got his push. It is. No matter what, all about who you know and what you do there.
Well, he does have good mic skills.
He does. You know what? And I please don't take that out of context. I think Sheamus is very, very solid in what he does.
He put in his time on ECW, got brought up just at the right time, and
I do think their initial push where they put the belt on him with that first. It must have been an Extreme Rules pay-per-view because it was a tables match with John Cena where Cena pretty much put himself through the table, thus Sheamus winning his first belt. I think they did that pretty quick. But it has been a slow build from there with Sheamus. And
they tried a couple things. They tried him as a heel, the King Sheamus angle from, his King of the Ring win.
Right. Sheamus will be a heel again at some point.
Some point. Right now, he's riding it, and he's a goddamn good heavyweight champion as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. Great. Like I said, solid in the ring, great on the mic, You could do worse,
So we're looking at... was that the last match of SmackDown?
That was it. That was all SmackDown.
So let's go right into, from there, Sheamus is going to have to defend that belt.
He is. Yeah, as of right now, matches that are announced for the pay-per-view, and this is on Tuesday, so I'm sure they'll probably add something else on Friday on SmackDown, something else will come up. But I guess we'll go ahead and start with the undercard, which you can get for free on YouTube, which I think is really great that they've been doing that lately. I think it's a good promotional thing.
The last one with, what was it,
Last one was Santino and the Miz.
Santino and the
last
Miz.
month.
And that was pretty good. I ended up watching it after the fact, but it was a good match.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it reminds, I think we were talking about how that's a great idea because it harkens back to the time of Sunday Night Heat where they pretty much would use that Sunday before the pay-per-view as a bonus show to make you want to buy the pay-per-view. And, back then, I didn't, you couldn't just wait an hour and download it on the internet.
Right,
or,
you couldn't just have it on your DVR to watch whenever.
Right.
You had to be in your seat in front of your TV to watch that pay-per-view because you actually had to call the cable company and say, I want this pay-per-view. My butt's going to be in my chair.
Yes.
I've got my Coors Light, my bag of popcorn, and I'm ready to watch this bitch.
Right, and like I said,
it's not like that anymore.
Sunday Night Heat definitely made me buy some pay-per-views I probably would not have bought.
It's true, but the pay-per-views back then...
But, like I said, for that, Zack Ryder versus Kane, honestly, this is one that really could go either way because you don't want to put... Kane's the monster. You always want to have Kane going over on whoever he's going over. And Zack Ryder is owed his revenge from all the turmoil that Kane put him through. But
we might even be a little surprised. He might get some help.
You never know. You never know. But I guess my prediction for this match, I'm going to take Zack Ryder. I think they are going to put him over.
Ooh, and see, there's a little history here. Lloyd and I are usually split 50-50 down the card as far as who we want to win. It's like, even if we're wrong, usually... either of us have the same amount of wins as we do losses. I gotta go Kane. I gotta go Kane.
Understood. I hear you.
I think maybe Zack Ryder will try to pull some shit. Somebody might come ringside and help him out. He might find something to use under the mats. Maybe there's a chair. Maybe there's something. Maybe Paul Bearer comes out. Who the fuck knows?
That would be awesome.
I think, though, that ultimately he's gonna get chokeslammed straight to hell.
After that, I guess the match that was pretty much, announced tonight was the WWE Divas Championship with Layla and Beth Phoenix.
I think Layla's going to get it.
Yeah, I don't see any reason for them to have put the belt on her for not even a month just to take it right back and put it up on Beth. I mean, I know Beth did tweak her knee on that match.
Well, it was her ankle, wasn't it?
I guess it was her ankle. I just remember she went out of the ring and you saw it happen. You could see that she legitimately hurt herself.
Now, here's one thing I gotta... If they put Layla as the champion again, or no matter who they give the belt to that night, are we gonna see an appearance from Karma? I know we were hoping for that last time we had a pay-per-view. I think it's probably about time. Maybe whoever wins, she comes out and goes, and just does her thing.
I think that it's gonna be next month.
Really?
Yes, and normally, I'm pretty good at reading my dirt sheet pages and whatnot. And I honestly don't know what her time frame is. Nobody really does, apparently. But I'm thinking next month, For anyone that doesn't know, she when she left, she announced that she was pregnant, would be taking some time off, and she had the baby, and the baby died at birth. That's a very sad thing.
We did see her perform mighty well, though.
At the Rumble. Yeah, she did fantastic. I marked out like hell for that. Like I said,
it was awesome.
I don't know what it is, but like... I've loved her, I've discovered Karma, Awesome Kong, Amazing Kong, whatever you want to call her. She's had many names back in TNA, which hopefully, once we start to get this whole thing rolling, we will definitely be starting to cover TNA also. We both watch, but not as religiously as we are with
I usually watch a couple of weeks, after a pay-per-view.
Right, like I said, for years, I watched TNA every week, and it's just, the past year, I just was so burnt out on it. It was going nowhere, and I just was disappointed in the product. So I've been taking some time off, but I think I'm feeling that it's almost time to start getting back on that train. But anyway, like I said, I think we both took Layla on that. Is that correct? Yep. Next up is the Tag Team Championship match with Kofi Kingston and R-Truth versus Jack Swagger and Dolphy Z. You want to do this one first?
I think I'm gonna have to go to Swagger and Dolph Ziggler on this one. As much as I love Kofi and R-Truth, they're not going to be a tag team partnership for very long. I think R-Truth is a much better character on his own, and I think they just slammed him up against Kofi Kingston because he kind of got the shit into the stick as far as his tag team championships with
Evan Bourne. Yeah, Evan Bourne. Like we spoke about the wellness policy earlier. There's a dude who, again, he got his second. He's on his second violation, and as my understanding is for either weed or synthetic marijuana. I guess that fake stuff that they have now. I guess that's part of the. That's on their list too. But yeah, I have to agree with you. I think that Jack Swagger and Dolph Ziggler are going to get those belts. They've been working towards that. And right now, they don't really have any other promo for them right at the moment, unless they literally split them apart. Because, like I said earlier, I totally believe that Dolph Ziggler will be one of the champions by the end of the year. So obviously, they're going to have to take that apart. But yeah, I'm going to go with you and agree that Swagger and Ziggler are going to walk out of that match with the belts.
Only for the reason that it sets up the rest of the tag division to have something interesting happen for the rest of the summer.
Right. I mean, let's see. Kofi and Truth have had the belts for what, like 2 months now?
A couple months, yeah.
So.
Not even that. It's been like a month, maybe.
Yeah, I guess maybe it is. I mean, they beat Primo and Epico.
Like, I think they beat them on a SmackDown episode. It wasn't even on a pay-per-view. I could be wrong. Either way, it hasn't been that long, and I think they're going to set them up to reign as tag team champions while guys like Epico and Primo and Unico and the Usos, and, you know, we actually have some tags, finally. And it's something that hasn't happened in a really long time, where we've got legitimate tag teams. And I want to see more of it. I love tag teams. Back to the fucking Bushwhacker days, the Natural Disasters, you know, all of that shit. The Nasty Boys. I like tags. You know, the Hart Foundation.
Absolutely. Like I said, some of my favorite wrestlers today, and again, just bringing it back to TNA, is like, I love Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah,
I think Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley are fantastic. Yeah. Two of the best. Like, I would love to see them go to the E. I think that it would be a rough transition for them because their style is just so much different. But that's something I'd love to see. Anyway, next up is the John Cena versus Johnny Ace. The Battle of the Johnnies, John Laurinaitis. I think it's going to take this. Like I said, with the stipulations that were added tonight, where if you don't win, you will be fired. Somehow, he's going to pull it off. That way he can come out the next night on Raw and be like, I beat John Cena all by myself.
All by himself. I mean myself, because I can't talk on the mic in front of 15,000 people. Here's where I'm going to disagree. I think they're going to find a way to have some kind of a disqualification. I don't think anybody's going to win that match. If anything, I want to give it to Cena just because I'm a contrarian, and I want to see Johnny Ace fired. I just want to see it. I want to see his smug, suited ass just get his ass beat.
See, that's not going to happen. The thing about that is they've invested too much time in the past year to building the John Laurinaitis character, and to just throw it to be like, all right, you're done, just makes no sense to me. I don't see what the point of that would be.
Yeah, but what have they done in the last 6 months besides Triple H and Undertaker that have made sense? You know?
Okay.
I mean, at the very least, the Punk Jericho thing just went nowhere. It was awesome. You know, it was some of Jericho's best mic work. But where did it go? He's not even fighting for that belt anymore, and it's only been a month. I don't know. I'm going to give it to John Cena because I'm going to be the contrarian on this one.
All right. Next up is the first of the two heavyweight championship matches. This one being the Fatal 4-Way with Daniel Bryan. I'm sorry, I take that back. With Sheamus, Randy Orton, Alberto Del Rio, and Chris Jericho.
The question is, does Sheamus keep the belt? And if he doesn't, who gets it?
Well, like I said earlier, Jericho is not going to be available to defend the belt. So I don't see why they would put the belt on Jericho for just a month to have him lose the belt. I really think that I'm going to go with Alberto Del Rio because Orton doesn't need the belt to be over. He's still going to be as huge. And you can put him in the feud with Alberto Del Rio for the next 2 months leading up to SummerSlam and maybe have him get the belt there. It's either that or Sheamus will retain it. I don't see anything other than Del Rio or Sheamus, and I think Del Rio's run as champion was cut short when he got hurt.
So you're calling it for Del Rio?
I'm calling for Del Rio.
This is tough for me because, as we discussed earlier, I'm a Del Rio mark. I have been since day one.
I know.
I love the way that guy wrestles. I love his shtick. He's one of the best heels that we've seen in years that isn't played out and tired. He's like JBL and fucking just all those asshole rich guy wrestlers smashed together with his Mexican aristocrat. And
you can't forget about Ricardo Rodriguez. Oh, great addition.
It's glorious. I want to say it's a Del Rio win, but I just really am not sure they're going to let Sheamus walk out of there without that belt.
So who are you taking?
If I had to really, really call it, I'm going to let Sheamus keep the belt. I'm going for Sheamus this time.
All right. brings us to the last announced match for the pay-per-view this weekend, which is the WWE Champion CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan. Again, this is one that I can see going either way. Punk has had that belt enough for a while now that he doesn't necessarily need to have it. But again, like I said, I think they've invested the time in him, and like I said, I think he's the second largest face of the company at this point. But just the overwhelming response to Daniel Bryan since he lost his belt to Sheamus.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
He is just, they hate him, but they love him. It's just, they want to see him. And I think him being champion right now would, he'd have so much heat. And they could work. This match is probably going to be the best match of the night. These two guys can wrestle. They've known each other for years. They have great style. This is going to be a fantastic, fantastic wrestling match. But in the end, I think, I personally would like to see Daniel Bryan win the match, but I think that Punk is going to walk out of there the champion and at least continue his reign, at least going into SummerSlam, because I just don't see because they've got to have that, and I don't see Daniel Bryan selling pay-per-views as well as a top of the card thing as CM Punk at this point.
That's where I have to differ with you on this, because I think that because of how over Daniel Bryan is, despite being a sniveling heel, I think he can sell pay-per-views, and I think that a win over Punk would propel Daniel Bryan as not only just a phenomenal wrestler, because he's one of the best in the business currently, but take that character to that next level, to where he can be the ultra heel who's got the belt and pull like Miz did a couple of years ago, where he had that shit for almost a year.
Right, but the problem with that is like even Miz will say, I was the headlining main event at WrestleMania last year. Well, where are you now, man? You're jobbing to Santino, I
don't know.
Which I think that is awful. Like I don't know if it's just that the Miz to me, the Miz has just never seemed to really get over with the fans. Like he definitely, is the most must-see sports entertainer in history. I like that gimmick.
But the Bryant heel is a better heel than the Miz heel ever was.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely can.
As much as I'm pretty sure that CM Punk will take it, I'd like to see a Daniel Bryan belt. I really would like to see Daniel Bryan walk out of there with that WWE Championship over his head, both fingers in the air, going, yes, yes, yes.
Right, see, and, we didn't bring it up. What kind of role is AJ going to play in this now? Because no matter what, it seems like they're throwing her into the mix of that match. Because now it's like I said earlier when we were watching her, I was like, oh man, here it comes. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Like, she's like, oh, now Punk rejected me? Oh, you don't reject me.
I think she'll screw with Punk, and maybe that'll get Bryan the win.
Very possible. Like I said, I'm going to stick with Punk.
Well, that's the show so far. We've got almost 45 minutes, maybe close to an hour.
Word. Like I said, we'll be doing this pretty much. The plan is to do this weekly, and between the two of us, I don't think that's going to be too hard.
No, at the very least, if it's bi-weekly, I can handle that, but we're going to try to do this weekly, and we'll get more production elements. If we actually get some listeners, put a little more effort into the equipment. Right now, we're basically just doing it off of my computer with its crappy ambient microphone, and hopefully I've, tweaked with the effects enough in here to make it listenable, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and some of them are gloriously produced, some of them sound like ass, yet I still listen. So hopefully, this was a good introduction into what we do when we're just dicking around.
Yes.
Because this is basically it. Like, every week, it's like, oh shit, have you seen this on SmackDown? Oh my god, did you see what Brodus Clay did to that asshole? Or whatever. Every single week when Lloyd and I get together, we just figured we'd cut a podcast talking about it instead.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, it's pretty much no matter what. Obviously, we're fans. I'm a mark. What can I tell you? I'm a mark for wrestling. Always have, always will be. Hopefully you enjoy what we're saying. If you have any questions or anything, I'm sure that we'll have some sort of email or something set up, and you can send us stuff. But like I said, we'll do that for next time. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to us if you did, and obviously if you're hearing this, you had. So, word up. And, Sean?
# Marks. # douchebag. John Cena's lady parts.
Peace.
Good night, guys.
Bow to the master.